After my husband demanded a DNA test in the delivery room, I uncovered lies and betrayal. But this fight is far from over. Though it's nothing compared to the words that just left my husband's mouth, the agony slices over me like a serrated razor. Still gathering my breath, sweat-soaked and shaking, Adam approaches with his expensive suit flawlessly pressed despite the 12 hours we have spent in this delivery room. "I would like a DNA test," he states. Like he is ordering coffee, his voice is flat and emotionless, not challenging the paternity of our newborn daughter. Her hands still caressing our infant, the nurse freezes. "My child." The space seems to get smaller, and the beeping monitors feel overly loud and invasive. From his charts, Dr. Collins glances up with a worn-out face wrinkling with concern. "Adam, what are you talking about?" My voice seems alien, far off, as though it belongs to someone else. He is not here for me. Rather, he calculates coldly at our daughter. 7 pounds, 4 ounces of perfection. "You heard me, McKenna. I want evidence she is mine." The charge hovers in the atmosphere like poison gas. 12 years of marriage cut down to this instant. I want to shout, toss something, make him feel even a little of the suffering shooting across my chest. I smile instead. Raw and bitter, it sounds terrible. "Get out," I urged. It tastes like metal in my mouth, the words. "Walk out before I call security." "Mrs. Harrison," says Dr. Collins, then Adam cuts him off. He pulls out his phone and fingers are racing across the screen. "I have every right to be here. And every right to demand this test." My attorney notes. "Your lawyer?" I say, then, "You've been chatting to your lawyer while I was in labor?" The only indication he is even capable of shame nowadays is a small flush up his neck. For weeks, I have been getting ready for this. Months. The name comes back to me. My husband was laying this ambush as I was choosing nursery colors and folded small onesies. It strikes me physically like a punch. Between us, bless her, the nurse steps. "Sir, maybe we ought to carry on this outside?" "No." I ignore my aching body's objections and try to sit up straight. Let him stay. Let him monitor the test. Let him see exactly how wrong he is. Adam's countenance doesn't change, but something flickers in his eyes. Disappointment? Release. I am not able to tell anymore. Every micro-expression, every cue was known to me. My hubby started to be a stranger when? "I'll arrange it right away, Dr. Collins responds, his tone precisely neutral. Though I must say, in my 30 years of practice. "Just do it," Adam says quickly. He straightens his tie, a nervous habit I once thought charming. The sooner we know the truth, the better. Truth. As if he knows what that word denotes these days. Unaware of the tempest building around our daughter, my daughter, I gaze down at her sleeping blissfully in the bassinet. Like mine, her small fingers are twisted into fists. Her dark hair already shows curl. "Fine," I answer, my voice calm in spite of handshaking. "Do the test, but do not expect forgiveness if it shows what I already know." The buzz on Adam's phone is constant. He looks at it and briefly his mask falls. Fear, guilt. He's rushing for the door before I can digest it. Not turning around. "I'll be back tomorrow," he says. "My lawyer will get in touch on the plans." The door clicks closed behind him, and I can suddenly start to breathe once again. Dr. Collins lightly runs her hand over my shoulder. "McKenna, I'm really apologies." "Don't." I grab my phone and my fingertips find Sam's number already. My cousin will act knowing what to do. He routinely does. "Just bring me the test paperwork, and Dr. Collins, make sure it's witnessed at every step." He nods, knowing dawn breaking across his eyes. Of course. I once more study my kid, learning every flaw on her face by memory. Whatever game Adam is playing, whatever falsehoods he is telling himself, one thing is clear, he has no idea what he has just started. 3 days in the hospital has made Sam's flat seem like a haven. Tara runs about the kitchen making tea while I drop into his worn-out leather couch and cradle Emma. Coffee grinds and the familiar aroma of old books help me relax, yet my hands will not stop shaking. Seeing Sam pace, I say, "He's changed all the locks. Changed the security codes too. 12 years of marriage, and he locks me out like I'm sort of a criminal." Sam pauses. His journalist's notebook is already full of scrawled notes. "Think back carefully. Exactly when did things start changing with Adam?" The question strikes like a gut-reversing punch. I close my eyes and search for the instant my marriage started to fall apart. Said it was a major merger, the Preston Tech deal, maybe 4 months ago. He started working late and missed doctor's appointments. Tara puts down a mug of chamomile tea, looking disturbed. That closed months back. I search sharply. How can you find that out? Tara says, because my sister works in their PR department, glancing at Sam. The deal fell through in March. March. When Adam began returning home with designer new suits. When the enigmatic corporate travel started. When he completely stopped caressing me. Sam taps his pen against the pad and says, here's what doesn't add up. Why wait until the infant is born to demand a DNA test? Why not do it during pregnancy? Tara whispers softly. Because he needed a scene. He wanted witnesses. Like freezing water, the insight comes to me. He is laying evidence against me. Emma stirs in my arms. I automatically change her blanket. Her small face is so calm and trusting, exactly like I used to be. There's something else, Sam replies, pausing. I gave some calls. Adam's been meeting divorce lawyers since January. January? My stomach drops. When I first told him I was pregnant, when he hugged and said everything was perfect, I caught myself, glancing down at Emma. That son of a... Why go with the pregnancy if he was planning this all along? Because of the Harrison family trust, Tara explains. Your father-in-law's will had particular heirs requirements, didn't it? The bits begin to line up. My voice sounds empty even to my own ears. The trust only pays out if there are legitimate children. He needed evidence the baby wasn't his to refute the claim. Sam hears buzz on his phone. He looks at it and darkens his expression. Adam just posted on LinkedIn. He's accepted a new job at Grant Technologies. Grant? The name reminds me of something from the past. Wait, isn't that the firm last year trying to buy out Harrison Industries? The same one your father-in-law refused to sell to before he died, Sam says at closing. We all leap at the door knock. Tara looks through the peephole and then rapidly backs off. It's Adam. I murmur, hugging Emma tightly. Don't open it. McKenna, Adam says as he walks through the door. I know you're in there, my lawyer insists you should be here. The DNA test is booked for tomorrow morning. Sam steps for the door, but I grasp his arm. Wait. Let him speak. Adam says. You're making this harder than it needs to be, his voice softening somewhat. Just come home. We can work this out. I rise gently, wary of waking Emma. Work what out, Adam? The lies. The secret meetings? Or how about the trust fund you'd like to pilfer? Stillness. Then, I don't know what you think you know. I know enough. My voice has stopped shaking now. I know about Grant Technologies. I know about the divorce lawyers. Soon, I'll know everything else too. One more stop. When he talks once again, all of his polite pretense disappears. You know nothing about what you are handling. Neither do you. I gaze down at our daughter, my daughter, and something hardens inside me. Game on, Adam. His footsteps turn back along the hall. Sam closes the door and then looks at me. What's the plan? I grab my phone and search among past contacts until I come upon the one I need. We first learn everything we can about Grant Technologies. Then I push the dial. We also call in some favors. Twice the phone rings, then a familiar voice answers. Dr. Collins? I need your help with something. Dr. Collins grimly slides the phone across his desk. I thought you ought to see these messages. They were automatically backed up to the cloud account you shared. I pick up the gadget and my hands shake. 2 days before I started labor, the timestamp shows 3:47 a.m. Everything is in place. The message comes across. She will not be entitled to the confidence once the test findings arrive. See to it you follow the plan. Adam answers. She doesn't suspect anything, just keep your father concentrating on the deal. Evelyn Grant, Dr. Collins adds softly. Son of Marcus Grant. My tongue finds the name to taste harsh. The man last year trying to make my father-in-law sell his company. Sam slants forward, his journalistic instincts alert. The same Marcus Grant who strangely bought 3 board seats following the death of your father-in-law? I go through more texts, each one worse than the next. Intentions. Meetings. Subtle elements that cause my tummy to churn over. They've been seeing each other since January, I remark, my voice faltering. I told him about the baby the same month. The timing's not coincidental, Sam explains. Grant Technologies declared their hostile takeover bid last week. With Adam's help, they will have controlling interest in Harrison Industries, unless there is a legitimate heir. The parts fit one another. That's why he needs the DNA test. To show Emma isn't his. It's not about the baby at all, it's about the company. A knock cuts off our conversation. Tara falls in, her face white. Adam's here with attorneys. Though my heart races, I will myself keep cool. Let them in. Adam arrives like he owns the place, accompanied by 2 suits possibly costing more than my annual pay. He seems different. Sharper, colder, sporting a tie I have never seen before. This is a private medical facility, Dr. Collins says, but Adam stops him. The older attorney says, stepping forward, we're doing a paternity test that my client has every right to oversee. We have questions regarding possible manipulation. I chuckled. I have no control over it. Tampering is rich coming from you. Adam's jaw gets stiff. Careful, McKenna. You already run possible fraud allegations. I hand out the phone. If these messages somehow get out there, the ones showing you and Evelyn intending to steal your father's company. He turns cold. I saw actual dread in his eyes for just a moment. You were able to access your private messages on our shared cloud account. I get up, rage providing strength. The one you neglected to cut off when you were so busy organizing your small business takeover. Adam's visage darkens as the younger attorney mumbles something in his ear. This changes nothing, he says, but his voice failures. The test will go precisely as scheduled. Dr. Collins speaks out of turn. Under my supervision, with witnesses present, unless you would want to explain to the board why you are colluding with Grant Technologies while serving as Harrison Industries CFO. Adam's hand jerks toward his phone, but Sam advances. I wouldn't. He says with a smile. My article about corporate espionage at Grant Technologies goes live in an hour. Fascinating stuff about insider trading and family betrayal. Adam says, you're bluffing, but he gets perspiration on his brow. I approach closely while speaking softly. You want a war, Adam? Fine. But remember, you taught me everything about corporate finance over those late-night strategy sessions. Everything? I stop so the weight of my words might sink in. And I learned something else from you too. I show him the last note he gave Evelyn, the one concerning love and always always. Keep receipts. The lawyers cast quick looks at one another. The older one starts to cough. Perhaps we should talk over terms. No terms, I say as Adam's flawless front breaks. You wanted to play dirty? Let's play. But remember, you're fighting for survival rather than just money now. They go, Adam's shoulders stiff with resentment. Sam lets out a faint whistle. That's only the beginning. My legs seem about to give out, so I sit back. Dr. Collins, how long till the test results? 24 hours, he says, giving me meticulous attention. Are you sure about this? Once we start, I'm sure. My eyes then turn to the picture on his desk, that of him seated with my father-in-law during medical school graduation. I won't make the same mistake. He trusted the wrong people. Sam squeezes my shoulder. What's next? I get out my phone and browse to a number I never would have considered using. Next, we talk to Evelyn Grant. It's time she learned what kind of man she really is dealing with. The Grant Technologies lobby sparkles with riches and power, steel and glass stretching upward. Emma's carrier is changed on my arm. It seems little until I see my reflection on the glossy marble. One of Adam's preferred suits, the one he buys for board meetings, is on me. It fits now differently, but the armor is what counts. Not looking up, the receptionist responds, Miss Grant is in a meeting. With a firm voice, tell her McKenna Harrison is here, I say. With the baby from her fiancé. Key clicking pauses. The head of the receptionist jumps forward, eyes widening to take in Emma's black curls, just as Adam's. 5 minutes later I am seated across from Evelyn Grant in her corner office. She is younger than I would have expected, perfectly polished in a manner that suggests old money and cautious reproduction. Her engagement ring shines 3 carats, princess cut, exactly like Adam's browser history. She says, I don't understand. But her hands betray her, whirling a pen till her knuckles grow white. Adam never brought up a wife or a child. Emma's fussing is softly calmed by deliberate ease. Funny how those specifics escape his attention while he is organizing corporate takeovers. Her face seems to be color deprived. You can't prove. I move her phone over her desk showing screenshots. Actually, I can. The question is, what will your father say when he learns his perfect future son-in-law is still married, that he's using your relationship to manipulate Harrison Industries stock? Evelyn murmurs, you're lying, but she's already reading, her immaculate manicured finger gliding across message after message. Watching her look, I say, the DNA test is tomorrow. Adam's rather sure about the outcomes, almost as if he knows something I don't. She stares sharply, something flickering in her eyes, recognition, terror. There is buzz on my phone. Sam's book made my blood freeze last night during the lab break-in. Security footage erased. Evelyn whispers, more to herself than to me, Daddy would never. I lean closer and say, your father's company stands to gain millions if Harrison Industries falls. Adam stands to gain everything, unless there's a legitimate heir. Her hands hold a pen that cracks, ink flowing over her immaculate desk calendar ruining merger dates and wedding venue appointments both. Her voice trembles. Get out. Before I call security. I stand gently drawing Emma near. You know what's funny? He promised me the same forever. Even used the same pet names. He bought me the exact same ring 5 years ago. I said, get out, she says sharply. Check his phone, I add quietly. The one he keeps in his gym locker. The one with the real messages. She stalls. How did you? I move for the door, then stop. Because I was you once. Young, loving, certain he was different. Oh, and Evelyn, watch his left eyebrow. It twitched when you confronted him. It's lying. The elevator doors close on her broken face. I text Sam. It's done and my hands shake. Phase 2 begins now. Tara's lab contact validated attempts at manipulation, hence his response is instantaneous. The test is being transferred under Dr. Collins to a safe location. From an unidentified number another message flashes. My heart stops when I open it. Clever girl, Adam writes, but you neglected who taught you chess. Look through your Harrison Industries email. You have 1 hour to leave the board, or those last year inventive accounting fixes you assisted with go public. Your actions. I fix my gaze on the computer, remembering late evenings spent over spreadsheets, depending on Adam's direction, signing paperwork he claimed were standard. Realizing just how long he has been organizing this, my stomach turns over. Emma moves, her small hand grabbing my finger. I see my father-in-law's fortitude, my own will, and something else, something Adam never knew about the Harrison lineage in her face. I picked up Dr. Collins on the dial. How fast can you find the original last year's audit files? Already done, he responds. And McKenna, something about a contingency plan caught my attention in your father-in-law's personal records. I smile for the first few days, for the first time. Tell me everything. The safe lab seems like a fortification, sterile whites and security cameras following our every step. Standing at the testing station, Dr. Collins's face is blank while Adam's lawyers hover close by. Emma sleeps in her carrier, not aware of the tension buzzing about the room. The results will be available in half an hour, Dr. Collins says. Every party will stay here until... The door opens violently. Evelyn bursts in, her flawless calm broken, mascara smearing her cheeks. She shrieks, "You bastard!" Adam backs off, his confident mask sloppily falling. "Evelyn, this isn't," she says. "The gym locker," throwing her phone at him. It crashes against the wall, 3 other ladies. "And you're still married?" The lawyers glance at one another with great dread. Sam blocks his way as one reaches for his briefcase. "Nobody leaves," Sam adds softly. "Not until we hear those results." Adam straightens his tie. I had not noticed until now a worried tell. "This is outrageous." "Whatever McKenna told you." "She didn't have to tell me anything," Evelyn says with a break. "Once I showed Marcus the actual numbers behind the Grant Technologies merger, your friend Marcus was rather helpful." Adam's face starts to fade in color. "You did not." She says, "Daddy's on his way?" A sharp and cruel smile. "Using the SEC." My phone lets off vibrations. Tara sent a note. Security footage turned around. Suspect found in lab breaks-ins identified. I slipped the phone to Dr. Collins. He analyzes the picture then turns to look at Adam's younger attorney. The man breaks out in perspiration. "Interesting," Dr. Collins remarks, his tone frigid. "Indeed, quite fascinating." Adam's eyes darted among us. "Computing." I understand that look, the one he gets right before giving up a piece to save his game. "The accounting irregularities," Adam says sharply. "McKenna signed off on all of them. She's just as guilt-ridden." "Except from the contingency plan," I said, staring closely at his face. "The one my father-in-law left with Dr. Collins before he died." Adam locks. "What?" "He knew Adam," I say decisively. "About the embezzlement, about Grant Technologies. He documented everything, including your attempts to access Emma's trust fund before she was ever born." The older attorney clears his throat tensely. "Perhaps we should..." Mr. Harrison says. "Shut up," Adam says, his calm breaking totally. He circles on me, fists closed. "You're bluffing?" "My father trusted me," Dr. Collins replies understatedly. "Not only as his doctor, but also as executor of his estate including the real will." The gadget lets out a buzz. "Ready for test findings, Doctor? Collins says. Adam loons toward the printout, but Sam catches him. Sam reports, it's over. The SEC has everything. The bogus DNA test orders, the embezzlement records, even your deals with Marcus. Steps echo in the hall, strong, deliberate. Adam ducks away from the door. He tries McKenna, his voice softening to that familiar manipulative tone. We can still correct this for Emma's benefit. The words searing like acid. I say, don't you dare. Don't you dare negotiate using our daughter as a chip. The door swings open. Marcus Grant comes first, then two SEC officials. Tara is behind them documenting everything with her phone. Adam Harrison, one agent says, you're under investigation for securities fraud. The next action plays slow motion. Adam runs toward the exit for emergencies. Moving to block him is the younger attorney. Sam yells something related to treachery. Emma sleeps soundly through it all, not realizing her world is moving on its axis. Holding out the test findings, Dr. Collins taps my arm. Ask, do you want to know? I fix my gaze on the paper, going back over all the evenings I questioned whether Adam's claims were accurate. Should I somehow have failed as a mother or a wife? No, I say at last as I watch the SEC officials shackle my spouse. The results don't matter anymore. She's my daughter. That's all I need to know. Marcus Grant moves in, his expression solemn. Mrs. Harrison, tomorrow we will need your testimony. I cut him off and gathered Emma right here. I'm driving my daughter home right now. I hear Adam yelling my name as we head off. Desperate now, at last realizing what he is losing. I forward only. I never turn around. There are few games not worth playing. Some successes result by walking away rather than from getting even. Lawyers, testimony, and conflicts for control of Harrison Industries will be here tomorrow. Still, tonight I have all I need in my arms. The boardroom of Harrison Industries seems colder than it was years ago. Perhaps it's the empty seats. Half the board left following the public disclosure of the SEC inquiry. Perhaps it's the way Sam avoids meeting my gaze or the way Dr. Collins constantly checks his watch. Marcus Grant says, distributing records over the polished table, the evidence is conclusive. Before they got to the lab, the DNA test findings were changed. Adam's new attorney breaks off. My client maintains that Mrs. Harrison was complicit in the financial irregularities. I say, the signatures on these documents were forged, but even to me my voice sounds empty. I never. Can you prove it? The attorney pulls more papers forward. Because these trading records show differently. Your personal account received substantial transfers during the period in question. Shaking hands, I identify the account numbers, our shared account. The one Adam insisted I cease tracking since he had it handled. Sam lets out a sudden stop. This is ridiculous. McKenna was on maternity leave when she approved these transactions? The attorney had a shark-like smile. The timestamps say differently. Dr. Collins starts to clear his throat. The contingency plan has been compromised, Marcus Grant says with stones. Someone accessed Richard Harrison's private files last night. Everything's gone. The room turns around. I hold the edge of the table and see the ground move beneath me. That's impossible. The security protocols? Were bypassed using your credentials. The attorney strikes nearly sympathetic notes. Along with some quite fascinating emails about offshore accounts. There is buzz on my phone. Tara is forwarding emergency updates. The company's stock is in free decline. Stories of fraud at various levels of Harrison Industries are running in news sources. There is a lot of conjecture on the DNA test crisis on social media. I begin, I can explain, but Adam's attorney raises a hand. Save it for the SEC hearing. He stands correcting his paperwork. Considering the circumstances, the board has called for an emergency vote of no confidence in the meantime. You can't, I mumble, the word sloshy on my neck. This company was the work of life for my father-in-law. He trusted me. To trust Adam? The voice makes me shudder. Adam stands at the doorway, perfect even with his house arrest ankle monitor. Like I trusted you not to go behind my back to Evelyn. Don't you dare, he says, the board needs stability, casually dismissing me. Someone with clean hands to weather this storm. Fortunately, my agreement with the SEC includes full cooperation in exchange for a reduced sentence. The corrupted files, the falsified signatures, the painstakingly created paper trail pointing directly to me click together. I say, you're going to pin everything on me. The flavor of the revelation is like ashes. The scam, the cover-up, all of it. I advised Evelyn about the twitch of his left eyebrow. You did this to yourself, McKenna. If you'd only have gone along. Played along? I stand fast as my chair falls down. While you stole my daughter's inheritance? While you destroyed everything Richard built? His smile darkens to become harsh. About that. The original DNA test results were rather interesting. The room is quiet. Sam goes approaching Adam, but security guards stand in between. You're lying, I whisper, but uncertainty poisons me. All those late evenings spent at the office, the unexplained business visits, his avoidance of talking about nursery colors or baby names. Am I? He says, pulling out his phone to show me a test result I have never seen. Want to explain these genetic markers? As Dr. Collins begins to talk, Adam's attorney cuts him off. My client is ready to file for full custody. The court tends to frown on fraud and embezzlement when determining fitness for parenthood. The globe shrinks to a point. Emma's face comes to me. Her black locks and small fingers. She cries at midnight and laughs early in the morning. Her weight in my arms makes all the difference. Since this dream started, just that has seemed real. The board votes in an hour, Adam says gently. Resign now, sign over your shares, and maybe we can set supervised visitation. Sam reaches my arm as I swing. McKenna, not. Still, my eyesight is blurring and I am already grabbing for the resignation letter. Surrender sometimes is not about giving up. Sometimes it's about grabbing time to figure out new means of fighting. At midnight, the Dr. Collins' office seems strange. Shadows slink across his father's medical degrees, and the constant buzz of backup generators covers our footsteps. Sam watches Tara work her magic on the computer from the door. Found it, she says softly. The original server backup. Adam's people missed it during the purge. My palms tremble as I slide the flash drive Richard Harrison handed me years ago, his insurance coverage I never would have considered necessary. Where long? Tara exclaims. 10 minutes to decode, her fingers speeding over the keyboard. If the passwords of your father-in-law still work. The door collapses open. Adam is standing there, 2 security officers at his side, his ankle monitor flashing accusingly into the night. I knew you'd try something desperate. He walks inside, tightening his cuffs. But breaking and entering? That will look awful in the custody hearing. Sam runs between us. How did you come across? Adam's smile does not reach his eyes. Everyone has a price. Dr. Collins isn't as committed as you assumed. Like Evelyn's price? The words taste harsh. Or was she only another stepping stone? His coolness breaks for just a moment. You have no idea what is at stake. Tara whispers, 7 minutes, behind me. Adam's eyes close. Whatever you're trying to recover, it's not important. The board votes tomorrow morning. Your resignation is already handled. Fun thing about resignations, I say as the progress meter crawls. They are not valid if signed under pressure, or if the person requesting them is fraudulent. He laughs, but with an unsure edge. You cannot prove anything? 5 minutes, Tara states. Adam yells to the guards. Close it down now. I walk forward, playing my last card and wait. Show them to me. The real DNA results. We've seen this. Show me, or I forward everywhere we find to the SEC. Every email, every transaction, every meeting with Marcus Grant. His left eyebrow starts to move. You are blustering. Tara says. 3 minutes? The guards go for the PC. Sam tends and gets ready to step in. She's yours, Adam says, freezing everyone in place. The actual DNA test shows she is yours. I changed the findings since I needed power. Though all I feel is clarity, the admission should sting. You never wanted her either, did you? She was just another asset to manage. 2 minutes here. At last Adam's facade breaks down. You believe this relates to a baby? This is about power, control, everything Richard promised me when he made me CFO. Quietly. He promised you a legacy, I whisper. Not a kingdom to steal. 1 minute. Adam lunges for the PC. Sam catches Tara shielding the screen. Something falls from Adam's pocket in the tumult, a phone I have never seen before. I grab it and immediately see the messages. Emails from Dr. Collins, plans to strip Harrison Industries for components, and talks with Marcus Grant. It's done, Tara adds with great triumph. Everything's deciphered. Adam still goes. You do not want to open that file. But right now I am already the chamber echoes Richard Harrison's voice, a video confession captured just before his death. He names names, specifics plans, and exposes one last turn. The company was never yours to steal, I say to Adam, at last comprehending. Richard left Emma controlling interest before he died. He changed his will. Adam says, impossible, but his voice failures. She wasn't birth was not even. I show him the date indicated on the will. He knew, Adam. About everything. The affairs, the fraud, the deals with Grant Technologies. You have been playing exactly the game he expected all this whole time. Police sirens call out far away. Adam's visage twists with rage. You think you have won? I still have the board, the evidence, your signed confession. Sam says quietly. Check your phone. The real one you just dropped. Messages flood Adam's eyes. The SEC reopening their inquiry, Marcus Grant cutting agreements to save himself, Evelyn's father pulling all support, and Dr. Collins delivering one more note. I kept my promise, Richard. Your granddaughter's legacy is safe. As Adam crumples his empire of falsehoods around him, the police explode in. But I'm already leaving, considering Emma soundly asleep at home. Some successes are about safeguarding what counts most rather than about winning. The Harrison Industries boardroom still bears traces of the turmoil yesterday night. Police tape crosses the entryway, and evidence marks the meeting table where Adam's empire collapsed at last. I get a leather portfolio from Dr. Collins. Quietly. Richard Harrison's personal files. He wanted you to have these, he whispers. When the time was right. Inside, under years of corporate plans and financial data, I uncover a letter. Although the ink faded and the paper is aged, Richard's firm handwriting is still clear. Darling McKenna, darling, you will know by now why I chose you to guard Emma's inheritance. Not because you are Adam's wife, but rather because you observe what he never could. Legacy is not quantified in stock values or merger proposals. It is developed in moments of choice and in decisions to defend rather than destroy. Emma rucks around in her carrier. I change her blanket and catch a look of my reflection in the dark windows. I look different somehow, stronger, maybe, or simply more certain. Sam shows up at the gateway. Evelyn Grant is here. The SEC wants to go over the video testimony once more. When Evelyn walks in, I get enraged, her eyes just show weariness. The board approved the dissolution of the merger, she says. Daddy's stepping down. The scandal, she says, trailing off, twisting her now ringless fingers. I never wanted this, I say to her. Indeed. Mostly. Neither did I. She glances at Emma, something gentle softening her face. You know, he promised me children too. A future I actually believed in. I say, I know. Because I did too, once. Dr. Collins lets his throat clear. The new board members are waiting. They will need direction regarding the future of the company. I consider Richard's letter of choices and legacies. Tell them we're restructuring starting with the charitable foundation. Doubling the funding for single-parent support programs. Tara, already writing the press release, beams from her desk by the computer. We turn to see activity outside. I watch Adam being escorted out by federal officials through the glass walls, his beautiful suit crumpled and his mask of assurance broken at last. He draws me in and starts talking. I ran away. There are certain talks not worth having. There's something else, Dr. Collins continues, drawing yet another envelope. Your father-in-law left specific instructions about Emma's trust. It's not just money. It's a challenge. Every dollar has to be matched by community investment projects. I chuckle. At last, I grasp he made sure the legacy has to be earned. It cannot be taken. Speaking of earning, Sam says. Though personally, I think karma in the boardroom had a better ring to it. The investigative piece just went live. Corporate corruption and the price of truth. Watching Emma fall to sleep, I say, no more karma. Just forward motion, neither more revenge nor anything else. Dr. Collins looks up an eyebrow. And Adam? I close Richard's portfolio. We face justice through proper channels. I'm done messing about with his games. Evelyn stands to go, stopping at the door. For what it's worth, I think Richard chose well. Not just for the company, but for her. She points at Emma. I go to Richard's old workplace after she leaves. His nameplate still stands on the door, but shortly it will show Harrison Industries Trust Management. Inside, he is always there in every well-picked element. One last note, dated the day he passed, caught me buried in his desk calendar. Remember, power is in knowing when to stop, not in knowing when to fight. Emma wakes up seeking attention with the tenacity of her father, but happily none of his calculations. I raise her while inhaling that lovely newborn aroma. From the doorway, Sam asks, ready to go home? Not home, I corrected him, compiling our belongings. Forward. Outside, reporters probe scandal and atonement with inquiries. Tomorrow we bring lawyers, restructuring ideas, and 1,000 choices concerning Emma's future. But right now, in this calm victory moment, I realize Richard knew all along. Sometimes the best payback is in creating something better from the ashes left behind rather than in demolishing what others created. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.